VBN Consultants offer strategic business planning workshops for leadership teams across many fields. They think outside the box to offer innovative solutions to any business challenge. Founder and originator of VBN, Val Nijas, is a respected leader and visionary with experience spanning nearly 30 years. George Ubudos is in his final year of a BCom degree in entrepreneurship and has been working part-time at VBN for the past year. His focus is on competitive analysis, brand positioning and online research. Welcome both to George and Val.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Now today we're talking about social media in companies. If one has a CEO or an MD who's not really inclined to the whole social media, Facebook, tweeting space, how do you sort of reel them in?
Yeah, they actually don't really have a choice, because I think if we look at Facebook, that's, 10 years old now. At the time when it was introduced, I think a lot of CEOs, probably because of their age and lifestyle, either just weren't interested or just didn't engage. And I think there's not much choice now. I think they're realizing what an impact social media is having on building their brands or the reputation of their brand. So I think they probably have to do a couple of things. Either get engaged themselves, and if they really don't want to, then they've probably got to stay very close to someone in their team who is engaged in social media 24/7. So they're going to have to embrace it. And I think a lot of them are. Some of them probably by default, because of something happening, a bit of a crisis, realizing I can't ignore this channel anymore.
Yes. Now, George, a lot of young employees are active on a lot of social media platforms. What's your take on them actually running these for certain departments within their companies?
I think it's a touchy subject, because let's say you're a small startup where it's 4 partners, managing partners, then I think it's very good, because the managing partners, they understand the business, they understand the business objectives, so they can on social media promote the business and talk about the business. But I think when you get to more established small businesses, medium-sized businesses, I think then it's crucial to have a team that knows specifically what to promote and how to go about promoting it. And obviously within mind the code of conduct of that company. Certain things are allowed to be said on social media, some should not be spoken about.
Speaking of that, I mean, George, you bring up an important point, because we've had incidents where people say the wrong thing and get into big trouble. Do you think there should be like a policy around, or an emergency policy around, when somebody actually, whether on purpose or inadvertently, says the wrong thing on social media? It can be very destructive.
Yes, I think probably a code of conduct or a policy approach should be applied regardless of the medium. So if you think of it, those do exist in corporates today, in bigger companies. So not everyone can be a spokesperson to the media or public. And I think because social media is even more of a public domain, I think it's got to be managed, because you are representing the company, so you actually don't really have the right to just voice an opinion that isn't appropriate to that business.
Val, I'm going to ask you a tough question here. You know, people have X amount of followers or likes on Facebook, in Facebook, and 5,000 people like my page. Does it really translate to sales, or is that small-minded? In other words, that all marketing has to directly relate to sales? Because that's sort of the old kind of thinking. If I'm going to invest in something, it needs to have an ROI in terms of people, buying my product or service.
Yeah, look, I suppose we're all in business to increase revenue and generate profits, etc. So it probably always does have the sales dimension. But I think in social media, I think it is a bit of brand building. It's about creating awareness. It's about getting exposure for your brand. So the likes, interesting enough, from a recent conference that we went to, likes are still measured, but it's gone beyond that. What they actually say now, it's more the share value than the like value.
What does that mean?
The share value meaning, was the content so great, or was it so interesting that I loved it and I sent it to, I shared it with a friend, I shared it with a colleague. So the measurement's starting to change a little bit.
And I assume that's the same with Twitter as well.
Yes, with all social media.
Sorry, it also applies to cross-platform sharing. So the company might put something on that's relevant on Facebook, and I, as the consumer, might post it to my Twitter feed. And that's what they call cross-platform sharing, which is also very good, because you've stepped into another platform completely.
So talking about that, would you say that social media really is a measurement tool for customer trends and satisfaction?
I think definitely at the moment, because of the sophistication in the technology that's used to measure analytics, now it's completely customizable to the business. So basically, not only can you check whether or not the customer feedback, you can also target specific phrases, keywords that can be customized to your business, as well as also understanding your consumer much better. And actually, companies these days, you can contract them to build customer profiles regarding social media. So if you've got one customer that has liked your page on Facebook, they start building things. So if his username pops up, let's say on Instagram or Twitter, they will compile a profile of the things they're tweeting about, the likes they've liked on Facebook. So you can therefore target your consumer much better and know what they're involved in.
George, while we're on that subject, if I look at my business, I have a person who's involved in social media almost full time in our marketing department, and she's becoming busier and busier and busier, where the discussion is maybe we should have maybe 2 or 3 people doing that into the future. It's almost as if there's a shift in marketing departments from traditional media to social media.
I agree with you 100%. I think the marketing division, if they are separate, the marketing and the social media division, I think they can never be too far apart. They have to work hand in hand, especially in this day and age where social media is such a big force. I think, especially for small, medium-sized businesses with limited resources, both financially and human resources, I think it's very important that they take advantage of what social media can offer them versus your traditional ways of marketing, be it TV, radio, which are very expensive. A lot of small businesses cannot afford it. They can actually act like big businesses via social media and get more bang for their buck, basically, using social media.
But I think traditionally they have sort of left it for the sort of junior. Let the marketing coordinator look after social media, whereas I think they're starting to escalate that. It's becoming a little bit more strategic.
We are running out of time. I just need your words of advice to SME owners, especially when it comes to social media.
I'd probably say, it's such an amazing channel for them, and it's quite an affordable one. So I'd say if they're very clear about what their brand stands for and who their consumer is, it's important to engage with relevant content. So if they spend a bit of time giving their customers added value, interesting information, I think they can get a good return for not a big investment. So I think it's a medium that they can't ignore.
And you, George?
I think the biggest thing for me is obviously as an entrepreneur and for all small business owners, I think take advantage of this opportunity, especially being a small with limited resources, and also try to develop content that will become user-generated content. So what I mean by this is it's no point posting and every day customers just read what you're posting. Get them to interact, get them to post, tell their story, and by that, share your brand with everyone else.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's really been interesting, and all the best in your endeavors.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.